I've helped collectors buy and sell millions in rare collectibles. The sale prices in this video are all backed by real data from top auction houses like Heritage. I know what makes coins and currency valuable, and today I'll break it down for you. We are going over rare $2 bills. Now listen, you may not know this, but the US Bureau of Engraving and Printing, where they print paper money, still makes $2 bills every single day. That's right, $2 bills are still being printed. As I speak, the reality is most $2 bills are only worth $2. It's true. I even carry around $2 bills in my wallet and hand them out as tips or pay with them at the grocery store. Here's the thing. In this video, we're going over some incredibly rare $2 bills that you'll never want to spend. Stay tuned, and let's just hop right into this video with this first $2 bill. Now, right off the bat, you may be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, why is there a red seal and red serial numbers? That's because this $2 bill is from 1963. It is a genuine United States legal tender note. I've actually heard stories of people trying to pay with these red seal bills at a grocery store and getting the cops called on them because they thought it was fake. For that reason alone, I highly recommend against ever trying to spend one of these bills outside of the fact that you wouldn't really want to do that anyways, because there's much more collector value than there is the face value full transparency. When I say face value, I'm just saying the value of the bill. So for example, this $2 bill has a face value of $2. This is also a star note. I'll keep this very brief, but when the US produces paper money, they also create a large quantity of star notes or replacement notes because they know that during the printing process there are going to be mistakes. Those mistakes or those error notes, they typically get destroyed and replaced with star notes just like this one. So if you ever come across any sort of star note, just know that that was produced to replace an airbank note. Okay, what makes this one so rare is the fact that it was graded very highly. So the grade in paper money really matters. That means you should never ever fold your bill to any capacity. That means no corner folds. No, nothing, don't fold it. Because this bill was able to sell for $300 because of its condition. Now looking at the back of this bill, it looks just like the last one. You know, it was produced somewhere between 1928 and 1963. We don't know for certain because this is what we call a back specimen. Note really rare, really valuable. You typically will only find this in a collection, but just know it's worth a lot of money. This specimen note sold for $1,920, $3,600 for this $2 bill from 2003. So I'm going to keep this very simple. I want you to look on the bottom right hand side of the front of the bill. You're going to see a small FW now. That FW stands for the Fort Worth facility, where this bill was produced. Now, if you did not have an FW there at all on the bill, that would mean your bill was produced at the Washington, D.C. facility. Now, here's a fun, in fact, paper money is only made in 2 different locations in the U.S., and that's Washington, D.C. and Fort Worth. So this banknote was produced in the Fort Worth, Texas facility. What made this bill so rare and so valuable is going to be the serial number. This is what we call a fancy serial number. More specifically, this is a descending ladder serial number. So descending means going from high to low. You can see the first digit is a 9 and the last digit is a 2. It consecutively gets small from 9 all the way down to 2 in order. Okay, it's not a broken ladder, it's a descending ladder. Perfectly. Also, if you have the opposite, you can have an ascending ladder where it goes from low to high in consecutive order. That's called an ascending ladder serial number. And it will be rare and valuable once again, because this one has a high grade of a 66, which means no folds, and it has a descending ladder serial number. It's sold for $3,600. All right, another genuine $2 bill. Now, here is a great observation as to why condition does not always matter that much, because this $2 bill from 1928 sold for $99,900. Now, I do want to say that 1928 was the first year the United States started producing $2 bills in the small size form. Now, what do I mean by small size? So before 1928, the US produced what we call large size paper money. Now, these bills were just much larger. They wouldn't fit in your ordinary wallet. Most people don't even know these bills were ever produced. But the thing is, this is a 1928B star note, so it's got a few things going on for it. After the date, there's a letter B, which means that's the series it was printed for. And once again, we know what a star note is. It's just a replacement note. Now, sure, the condition here does matter. Don't get me wrong, but this is such a rare type of $2 bill that even in this low of a grade, it's so rare that it makes it worth $9,900. Let me just tell you this right now. If you had the same exact bill, but it was uncirculated, meaning that there was no folds on it, whatsoever, it would easily be worth $50,000 or more. Depending on market conditions, this example, once again in a fine 15, which you can tell is completely trash, sold for $99,900. All right, I want to start on the back of this bill that sold for $13,200. So on the back bottom right corner of this bill, you're going to see what's called a backplate position number. So when they are printing paper money, they're printed in sheets. Okay, it's not just one bill. Every time they print it, they print them in sheets of 32 subjects. Now, in today's day and age, they print 100 subject sheets. So 100 bills per sheet. Now, these sheets require a printing plate. Now, depending on where the bill is located on the printing plate will dictate which number you have on the back of your bill. Now, the number does not matter as much as the size of the backplate position. What you're going to want to do on certain types of notes is compare the backplate number size to the front plate number size. If the front plate and the backplate number are different sizes, that could mean that you have a mu note. Now, a mu note can make the note very, very valuable, but on this 1976 $2 bill, you don't really need to worry about that. But it is important to note because mu notes do exist out there. The biggest factor as to why this bill sold for $13,200 is because of this very low serial number, 2-star note. So for the San Francisco district, which is that L at the start of the serial number, this was the second bill produced ever, which makes it very rare. Now, I'll tell you this serial number 1 is significantly more valuable than serial number 2. There are some pretty crazy collectors out there that have very deep pockets and they are willing to pay just about whatever it takes to get one of these rare bills in their collection. That is why this bill sold for $133,200, $19,200. So starting on the back of this bill, I want to say the back printing on all paper money for the United States is the back of the bill. That is the first print during the printing process. Flip the bill over to the front. The second printing process is going to be everything. Here that is not doubled. So you can see all of the black. You can see Thomas Jefferson there in the center. All of that is the second print. Now the third and final print is called the overprint. The overprint in this instance is what is doubled. So you get a little bit of a lesson there as well as knowing why this bill sold for so much money. Like I said, $199,200 because the overprint is doubled. Now please be very, very careful. This is the most commonly altered bill I've ever seen when it comes to $2 bills. Now, what do I mean by that? That means don't buy it unless it's in a holder. Because there's a good possibility that someone saw a video like ours and said, hey, I can just replicate this in my printer and try to make a lot of money online. You see these bills all the time on eBay that are not certified because a company like PMG or PCGS has a full money back guarantee if the bill is altered that they have to buy it back, so they're on the hook if they certify a fake collectible. So here's the thing. Like I said, someone will get a normal $2 bill, put it in their print, and try to replicate this error. Now, it's a relatively easy error to distinguish if it's genuine or not. You just need magnification and then compare the two different serial numbers and see if they are the same or not. I've seen plenty of these faked in my time. Be careful, guys. Make sure that you're buying from someone reputable and make sure it's graded by PMG or PCGS before you ever buy something like this. But if you find one, you're in luck because $19,200 is sold for. We'll be brief on this one, but essentially it's the same thing as the serial number 2, but this is a serial number 1. And you can see that the condition is a PMG 63 EPQ. Now, when it comes to the uncirculated grades for paper money, you've got 60 to 70 being the uncirculated grade, which means there is no folds on this bill whatsoever. But the grade there matters when it comes to the centering. So you can clearly see that the top to bottom centering is much different here. You can see the bottom centering is really tight and the top centering is really large. That is because it wasn't cut properly and that will influence the value. If this bill was centered better and the margins were equal all the way around, it would have sold for a lot more money than $19,200 because it would have graded higher than a 63, $26,400 for this. 1,928, $2 star, note legal tender bill. Once again, 1928 being the first year of issue for the $2 bill, small size, but the earlier one we went over, that was a choice. Fine 15 was a 1,928B. This is a 1,928E, so just a different series that was produced, but you can see the centering once again is not the best. However, it's such a rare banknote to come across, especially in this high of grade. There is a significant reason why it sold for $226,400. If you come across a rare bill like the one you saw in this video, or any of them, you want to contact a rare currency expert because they're going to help you maximize the value of your collectible. Be careful out there. Guys, do your own homework and research. Stay tuned for more awesome content. We'll see you in the next one.